Hey everybody, thank you for joining me. My name is Reese and this is Fandom Sage. I am starting a new endeavor. I'm starting a YouTube channel and this is my very first video. And I just want to test the waters and get my, feel of speaking and recording. What I am going to be talking about on my channel is going to be entertainment, movies, series, anime, comics, things that I like, and hopefully things that you like too. If you have any recommendations, any series or fantastic shows or movies or comics that I should talk about, please leave a comment in the comment sections below. And I appreciate all the support. This is something I've been wanting to do for quite some time and now just getting into it. So what I really want to talk about first is the fandom culture itself. As a fan of, all sorts of media, especially fantasy, sci-fi, superhero genre, I've seen a change over the years on as far as how we treat each other and how we respond to this content. And maybe it's because we're spoiled now. We get so much great content. I could have never imagined 10, 15, 20 years ago that I would have seen some of the things I've seen in live action. Iron Man and Incredible Hulk and Captain America together on screen as the Avengers. It was incredible. I can think back to the days when I was going to the theater to see these films and I would get goosebumps and I would be excited about these films when they drop. Now, I will admit I have cooled off a little bit on the hype, but I still am very much a dedicated fan and I always keep it 100. So here on my channel, I will always keep it 100 on my analysis and my opinions. And I welcome you to challenge me and offer your own opinions as well. I do want to talk about the state of Marvel just because everybody does talk about the state of Marvel. I have high hopes for Marvel. They haven't even begun to really dig deep and scratch that surface of what they can deliver. I mean, in real world, things happen to get in the way, COVID and actor and writer strikes and those types of things, and schedules get thrown off and business deals fall through and actors, leave projects. That's just the way of the business. And I still have faith that we will get some really, really awesome things on the level of Endgame and Infinity War and Captain America's Civil War and things like that. I just wish in my heart that people were less, I'm going to say shitty, but yeah, I'll say shitty. I wish they were less shitty to each other and not as harsh towards their criticism. Or if they are going to be harsh and they are going to criticize, list out the reasons why you feel the way you do so we can have some debate about it and we can, get into it. I want to talk about the meat and the potatoes, not just, hear people throwing around woke and MCU and stuff like that. That doesn't really stimulate my mind as far as conversation. And, it's gotten old at this point. Now, over the last year, we've gotten Marvels, we've gotten Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumanium, and what else did we miss? Oh, Thor, Love and Thunder. Now, these three films specifically have garnered a lot of negative criticism, and for good reason. I will say that the Marvels I've enjoyed much better than the previous two, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumanium, and Thor, Love and Thunder. The Marvels was a good time. I laughed. I was enjoying seeing the interaction between the three actresses and these three heroes. Kamala Khan, she is a breath of fresh air, and it's good to see that energy, that irreverent energy, because Carol Danvers is a very serious hero, a serious woman. And she's very much like that in the comics. A lot of people do complain about Brie Larson and her either portrayal of the character or her real life persona or her opinions, which, it doesn't make me any difference. I don't have a problem with Brie. I think she's just fine. When she first was cast, I wasn't super thrilled about it because I really wanted Charlize Theron. But, I've grown to really respect her performance in as Carol, because Carol is very unlikable in the comic books. If you don't know this, you might not understand her performance, because I feel like she got dialed in to Carol. She's not a very emotional person. She went through a lot in the comic books that they don't get into in the movies. She started out, without powers, and she kind of had an affiliation with the Avengers as, she was in the service in the military, and she ended up getting her powers and losing Captain Marvel, who she loved, but she also, you know, went through that whole phase being in a coma after Rogue took her powers. And she was really, I think, a little bit bitter and resentful after that, because I feel like she thought that people forgot about her. And the person that actually helped her was Charles Xavier. It was the mutant. So it wasn't even her own teammates that helped her. You know, she has a lot of negative aura about her in the comics, a little chip on her shoulder for a while. Then she got the Captain Marvel and she kind of took a turn and, you know, elevated herself as far as a symbol and a leader within the Avengers landscape. But she is still, you know, kind of a hard ass. She's not really supposed to be likable. So I think that maybe people don't know that or have forgotten that. And her portrayal, I feel like Bree's portrayal of her is very much influenced by that very thing, that comic book persona. And she doesn't give a damn who don't like her. So I like that about her. Now, she does have these moments of warmth where she opens up and she shows that vulnerability, which, you know, I think that's endearing to any character. Monica Rambeau, I've always loved this character. I'm so glad that she's getting time on the screen. I definitely was satisfied and impressed with, you know, her turn in the Marvels and showing her abilities and her powers and how quickly she was able to adapt into them. I thought it was really funny that Nick Fury was, pretty much coaxing her to like take off the training wheels and, you know, get in there and do some stuff, some black girl magic. She really kind of embraced her abilities and has a really good understanding of her powers. I guess that comes from her being a scientist as well, having worked with swords so long and studying these types of phenomenon and radiation and light, that she understands what she's capable of as she's, you know, discovering it at the same time. Kamala, I think that she is just, I just love her so much. I think she's the luckiest girl on the world, probably. She's a fan of Marvel that got cast as a great character, that's gotten to write her own comic book for her character. That's pretty amazing. And she looked like she's having the time of her life. How can you be mad at that? I love that for her, and I want to see a lot more of her. And I think, you know, the Young Avengers idea is a good idea. I hope that it comes together in a way where these characters we care about and they're mature enough and fleshed out and have good chemistry. I already know that, you know, Kate Bishop, she's awesome. I loved her in Hawkeye. I mean, I wasn't even expecting much from Kate Bishop, but man, Haley, she really killed it. And her and Florence, like, together, I couldn't get enough of it. The mac and cheese scene, that's all I'm going to say. The mac and cheese scene and the elevator scene. I mean, it just made my whole year, my whole Christmas. So the Young Avengers, we got to get, you know, Patriot in there, which we have seen in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And I know that he has been working out and getting jacked. So hopefully he is still a part of Captain America Brave New World. I know a lot of changes are going on behind the scene there, or allegedly. We don't know for sure, but I know that they changed the title at least. And apparently they may have cut down the character of Sabra significantly. So we'll see. I think Sabra is a really cool character, especially the fact that she can transfer her own life force to people and give people moderate powers for a select amount of time. I think that's kind of interesting. I would like to see that because I don't think we get a lot of that. We get a lot of stealing or copying of powers, but not like gifting other people powers, which is kind of cool. So we're going to get to see a new Falcon, Joaquin. I'm excited about that. A lot of people are still salty about Sam being Captain America. And to those people, I would just say, you know, get over it. I mean, this makes sense to me, not only because it happened in the comic books, but Sam really exemplifies everything that, you know, Steve Rogers did. You know, that's why they were close and that's why he trusted him between the time of Civil War and the time you saw them again in Infinity War. Him and Sam, they were on the run together. Those were her road dogs, like, you know. So I think that it makes complete sense that he had faith in Sam to be Captain America and carry on their legacy. People that wanted to be Bucky, I understand, I get it. He has a super soldier, he got a metal arm, but the man killed JFK. He killed Tony Stark's parents. He was an assassin for 85 years. That's just not conducive with being Captain America, okay? I mean, he can still be good and do good things, but it's just weird to me that people argue that Bucky, because he has powers, he says, okay, Sam doesn't have powers. Sam is very capable. He is a trained soldier. He is one of the fastest aerial combatants in the Marvel landscape. He gets it done, and he's got great reflexes and awareness. He's great with tech. He's a smart mathematician, and he's done this, and he doesn't need powers because there's many other characters that don't have powers, like Natasha, and of those two, who died. Okay, but no shade to Natasha, I love her. Hawkeye, no powers, so it's not really fair to say that. And for that matter, Tony Stark, no powers. He has tech, just like Sam. Sam just more focuses on aerial combat, probably reconnaissance and things like that, versus straight up lasers and whatnot. But he has a nice little arsenal. He has his role to play. He attacks things differently. He gets it done differently than Steve, of course, but he gets it done and he follows through. So that's the main takeaway I want people to see with Sam being Captain America. I think it makes sense. Now, going back to Hawkeye, I do want to touch on Hawkeye again, just because I really appreciated this show so much. I love the Christmas backdrop setting there. Kate Bishop was amazing. We get to see Kingpin back in the Marvel Universe, Vincent D'Onofrio, giving a different energy and definitely giving some super strength type of feats, which I like to see. And it got me very excited again and kind of perked me up more. I definitely want to see these ground level heroes. I definitely want Luke and Jessica back. Iron Fist, I'm indifferent. Honestly, I could take him or leave him because we have Shang-Chi. But if they want to bring Jessica Hedwig back as Daughters of the Dragon and Misty and Colleen Wing, we can bring them back. I'm not mad if they want to recast some people too. But certain people, I always think have a higher priority of bringing back, and that is definitely Daredevil, Kingpin, Jessica Jones, and Luke Cage. I'm just going to keep it 100. Now, Punisher too, because Frank Castle, he did his thing too. I just want more interaction between those characters, and get them really living in the universe and interacting and bouncing off each other and building these relationships. So Daredevil Born Again is got 18 episodes allegedly, so a lot of opportunity there to have some characters interacting. And I pray, I cross my fingers that we get at least Jessica Jones. I would be surprised if they got Luke too, but man, I would be so ecstatic. We have seen some Bullseye behind the scenes footage that they're bringing back the actor that played Bullseye, and he did a great job. I'm not mad at that. I'm interested to see how his character evolves. I see he's kind of getting into his persona and getting an actual costume, or maybe a proto version of his costume. And we also know that White Tiger is going to be in it. And I was surprised, but probably not, shouldn't be a surprise that Victor Ayala version is going to be featured, because in the comic books, we do get the Victor Ayala. There's several White Panthers, that are almost all related to each other. And then the mantle gets passed a couple of times before we get to Ava Ayala. So whoever gets cast as Ava, or even if she's going to be, a part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe anytime soon, there's a build up to that. So it might make sense that they start with the uncle first. So I'm definitely curious to see how he gets fit into the story of Daredevil Born Again. There are also rumors that we might be getting the villain Muse, who is super creepy and very serial killerish, very dark character, which, would speak volumes to the tone and direction they are going to keep with Daredevil Born Again, if in fact they are using that character. And it's very intriguing character, very mysterious character, but it has a lot of ties to the Inhumans in the comic book. So I'm definitely sure they're going to, exclude that part. But I wonder what his motivations will be, or he'll be maybe a henchman for a bigger villain like the Kingpin. But he was definitely very much a lone kind of anarchist character in the comic books. So I don't see him playing well with others, or even working with anybody else, or for anybody else for that matter. But if they did use this character, really cool. I love it. I also wanted to talk about She-Hulk. Now, She-Hulk is allegedly not getting another season, which I'm not surprised. I would have not been surprised if she had either. But, being that the budget is being, a hot topic at Marvel and Disney, and they're kind of cutting back and changing up their plan, it's not surprising. But Tatiana Maslany is still going to be Jennifer Walters. Don't get that twisted. I hope people don't think she's fired because she's not getting a second season. Because Wanda's not getting a second season either from WandaVision. But it just means that that chapter of that story was a limited series or, a one-shot season, which is fine because I definitely want to see her on the big screen and stomping and, with a bigger budget for that CGI. And I loved the interaction between her and her cousin Bruce on the show. And it had all the makings for a very cool kind of sitcom, almost procedural action. It just, the budget wasn't being utilized, I don't think, as well, especially given there's so much because she's always, She-Hulk at work too. And it's kind of like, well, even the transformations probably a little bit more expensive than just maintaining that She-Hulk form, the transformations and tearing out of your clothes and all that stuff. But the story in She-Hulk had me a little intrigued, the intelligentsia element, because we know in the comic that the leader is a part of intelligentsia, as well as a few other characters that have been mentioned or kind of alluded to, like Zola and, a couple other genius egg brain type characters. So I'm definitely feeling like the leader will have some thing to do with intelligentsia as far as whatever he's trying to make or plan behind the scenes leading up into Captain America Brave New World, which of course he is going to be one of the main villains along with Red Hulk, which is pretty cool. And I do believe that intelligentsia was behind Thunderbolt Ross getting turned into Red Hulk in the comic books too, if I'm not mistaken. So it dropped a lot of stuff that people didn't talk about. They rather talk about, the bad CG or, whatever else. And I was just kind of trying to get into the story and just the vibe, because everything doesn't have to be like, Captain America, the Winter Soldier, which is one of my favorite movies, or it doesn't always have to be like WandaVision or whatever. Everything has its own flavor. And if you don't care for a certain IP or a certain project, that's okay. You don't, it's not for everybody. Everything doesn't have to be for everybody. And the fact that you can, say okay and, turn off the TV or change the channel, it's getting online and, bashing things into, the ground until people just get sick of the conversation and just the whole franchise and the brand is kind of like shooting yourself in the foot, because you're just ruining it for everybody. It's just like, if you don't like it, I say it once and then I'll leave it alone and I can scroll past the videos about it. I'm not going to just sit up there and, face something I don't like, just so I can be disgruntled and complain. It doesn't make sense to me, but, some people live in that energy and, I hope that you find something that you like and that you can get online and celebrate it until, another project comes along. And we have a lot to look forward to. Deadpool, Wolverine is not far. It's kind of coming up fast to me. It feels like it's coming up faster. And I'm super excited. I'm keeping my expectations tempered, which I always do. And that way I'm pleasantly surprised or not. But I'm definitely, I don't know what to expect, which is a good thing. You keep hearing these rumors and this character, but we don't know. And, I don't want to get into that Doctor Strange multiverse of madness energy that I definitely did have, because I was almost expecting to see certain things that I didn't. And it didn't like disappoint me because I did enjoy the film, but I learned a lesson then not to put too much stock, even subconsciously, in a lot of these rumors, which I did. I don't really put too much stock in rumors, but after you hear them for a year over and over and over and over again, you can't help but, it affecting you and kind of making an impression. So I learned to kind of block that out a little bit more. And, just take it as it comes and enjoy it for what it is, not for what you want it to be. Because I think that, a lot of the fandom gets in that mode that they have these expectations or, how they would envision it. instead of enjoying what's being told to you and what's being shown to you and what's being crafted, over this time, because it is a bigger story overall than just these individual projects. So I wanted it to all come together, and I know that it will. And when we get to see them all together on the big screen again, it's going to feel good, and we're going to, be hyped. We're going to be hyped just the same. All right. So Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. I'm not going to lie. I was kind of like, like a lot of the times I was just kind of like, I liked the other two movies well enough. Like, they were good enough. This one felt a little bit messy and it felt a little sloppy. I was excited to see Jonathan Majors, and, he did give an energy that definitely woke it up. But overall, the stakes to me didn't feel as high, and some of the comedy felt out of place or inappropriate in sometimes because, it was supposed to feel like, I think, a bigger film than what happened, what it did end up feeling like. I think that for a lot of people, they came out of the theater feeling like that, like you just took a deep breath, but you didn't need that much air to survive. So, hey, it wasn't as big as a hit, or as didn't make as much of an impact as I like. And then Thor: Love and Thunder. Now, I did laugh quite a bit, and it was very silly at times. And I will say that, Christian Bale, I definitely wanted more. I wanted more. I wanted them to utilize him better because it's such a great character, Gore the God Butcher. And I had a lot of things to celebrate and be excited about, but also it definitely felt, again, messy, a little disjointed, or it didn't have a clear point of view of what was on the line, what was at stake. So, it's one of those fluff type of films. And by comparison, the Marvels executed, lovely. It was beautiful to me. I loved everything that they were working towards, what they were up against, what they were trying to solve. Carol's kind of her guilt and her internalized distancing of herself from people because she does feel like an outsider, and she's very different. And what was being done in the cosmos off Earth that we don't know about, and how the politics of that played into it with the Kree. I loved all that. I definitely want to dig more into that. And also Monica, her resentment towards Carol for basically, ghosting her. And it just played in so well from when she was on WandaVision and seeing how she was dusted in the snap and coming back, and her mom was passed away. It was, it's kind of crazy. And then you get to see, her mom, or a version of her mom, at the end of the Marvels as binary. And I was like, wow, they're really doing this. They're jumping into another universe. We got to see an incursion. I think that's like such a big thing. And I don't know if people are like locking into that. Like, we're seeing the increasing severity of the unraveling of the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the bleeding of these other universes together, or different ways they can, because this one, we see these jump gates, kind of the impetus of this breakdown. And then another, is magical with Doctor Strange. It's the, using of that, the dark hole, and the dream walking that kind of weakened the barriers even more. And What If, we get to see different ways that the multiverse is kind of cracking and weakening in different spots. So maybe that is part of what ultimately causes that collapse, that it's not just one thing. On Loki, we see, boom breaking. We see all these different temporal things happening. So that's a temporal element. There's a magical element. There's a scientific element that is weakening these barriers too. So I hadn't thought about it like that until now, but maybe it is several things that in combination will cause a major incursion, or kind of a cascading effect. I'm excited for Doctor Strange and see how he tackles that, because I know that's going to be his mission going forward with Clea. And, Deadpool, obviously, but we are suspecting that it's going to be a multiversal adventure. And I wonder how his actions will affect the weakening of the multiverse as well, because I definitely think he's going to kind of come in and mess some shit up, and it drags some people through with him. I definitely hope that he brings X-23. I want to see Laura, slide into the main Marvel universe, and I want to see Domino too. I wouldn't be mad at seeing Cable as well. Um, and I wouldn't be mad if we got a different version of Vanessa. We get a copycat version of Vanessa that's like obsessed with him and chases him into the Marvel universe. I think that would be cool. Instead of having, the other Vanessa that, is not a mutant. So I mean, there's so many possibilities and so many other characters that could kind of like fold in from Fox that I hope they take advantage of that. Especially since we kind of already are familiar with these characters like Domino, like Cable. So I know Zazie Beetz has allegedly said that she's not in the film, so that's disappointing. I really loved her Domino portrayal. And I'm not even the hugest Domino fan in the comic books, but she portrayal made me one. I was just like, yeah, luck is a superpower. And she is hot and I love her. And I loved her whole vibe. It was very nonchalant because, when you got luck powers, like what are you going to be pressed about? As long as I put one foot in front of the other, I'm fine. She was given that. And the last thing I want to talk about is Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. I loved it. I've been a fan of Chadwick Boseman, of Black Panther, of Ryan Coogler for a long time. I went into the film with a numb feeling of excitement, and 10 minutes in, I was already folded. I was folded like a lawn chair. It was done. I wasn't expecting to get so emotional so quickly. And throughout the film, I stayed in this energy, and then I found myself laughing and, getting really engaged with these characters. And I love the film, and I felt the catharsis that Coogler and the crew must have been going through during that time, because me as a fan of Chadwick, I felt the heaviness in my chest. I feel it now just talking about it. So I can imagine trying to come back to set and finish this thing and work on this beautiful, beautiful story without the king, without the person that brought the character to life and inspired so many people. And I just encourage people to, be patient, and, they could have recast. Yes, they could have, but they didn't, because Ryan Coogler has a vision, and he's always has a vision. One of his main themes he works with is legacy in all of his films. If you think about it, like Creed, that's why we got the son at the end. And that's why I know that his story will continue, as well as T'Challa. They will bring another one. They will recast. I already know that. But this story was about more than that character or that king. It was about a lasting legacy and what we leave behind when we're gone, and grief, and moving beyond that and finding strength. And I think that Letitia Wright did a great job under that type of circumstance. And Ryan Coogler crafted a great story about perseverance. And it struck me. I've lost people close to me before, so I get it. And I received that message. And I am excited for Wakanda and what else is in the future, because that franchise is one of the top IPs for Marvel. So there's going to be more. They're getting an animated show. They're definitely going to do a Black Panther 3. I'm definitely sure of that. It's just too rich of a universe there in Wakanda, and that whole cast and crew is so talented that they can't not give us more Wakanda. So stay tuned for more news. I am so excited to finally get this channel started. Thank you for joining me. Let me know how I did. This is literally my very first time recording and letting people hear it. And I just want to be here to entertain and have a good time, and hopefully get some likes and subscribes. Hit that like button and subscribe, and, be one of the first people that, help me get to where I need to be. I really appreciate you guys. Much love, and I'll see you on the next